When it comes to cups, I just use a Burger King cup. Hello everybody, and welcome to The Lily Factor. We now interrupt this program to go ding! Today, I am going to follow a request I was given a little while ago that I do some tutorials on painting plants, trees, clouds, sort of landscape kind of things. So today, that is exactly what I'm going to be doing. So a quick debrief here before we really dive into it. This is going to be a very quick tutorial, and we're just going to be painting one tree. So I was blobbing on some colors for the palette when I noticed that weird gray color that was literally liquid. I don't know if water was put in the paint or something, but I ended up just replacing that gray with white, and I resumed putting colors all over everything and picking up brushes. Some were acting up, so I had to kind of change it around. Now we shall dive into, I kind of made this golden brown color, and I'm just gonna blop on like a basic outline of the tree. And this one, it starts thin at the top, and then it gets wider as it goes down. So don't worry about like making it totally flat. You just kind of want to get that basic shape down. And I'm actually going to change brushes for this just because I need to do so. This brush is concrete. What happened? Okay, so I'm going to use a very stiff brush. Alright, so I'm going to block it out. Get that basic blob there. Yeah, one thing I've learned about painting though is you really want to block everything out first and not worry about like making it, you know, perfect like in vivid color, especially with acrylic paints, because they work much differently. But you just want to get that basic gist going on there. Oh, I love that color. Okay. Kind of branches will tangle up a bit. And if it's too wide too, like, don't worry about that quite yet. We're not at that point where we're gonna, because you actually, like for trees, if you're drawing these parts of the branches here where there's gonna be like leaves coming around, you don't wanna freak out over it being too big or anything, because it's actually gonna get smaller as you paint those leaves on top of it. Alrighty, Lilio, voiceover me is gonna take over now, and I am taking like this greenish brown color, you could consider it like a camo color, and I'm using an angle brush, and I really am truly just pounding the brush against the paper. And I mean, not hard, you don't want to aggressively beat up the brush. I'm just kind of like patting it on there to give that leafy texture. And then I felt like the tree looked like at the ends it could have some sort of roots or something. So I just like quickly spread the brush across the bottom of it with that green, and I kind of put it a little bit behind the tree and in front so that it's not just like the tree is magically resting on this one-dimensional hilltop. So there's going to be grass kind of behind the tree. And then now I'm going in, once you get all the colors blocked out and everything, you take darker colors and you add shadows, and then you take lighter colors and kind of blend it in with those darker colors. So you'll see, like for the leafy parts of the trees, I take like this black and I just like blob it on there where the shadows will be hitting the leaves, and then I go over with like a neutral green or a lighter green and just blend it out with that black, so we create that shadowy look without having to really go over the top with effort over that. Because with painting, you start with the blocking out of the colors, and then you add the darker shadows and the lighting, and it all just kind of mixes together. There's a unique process to it, and there's certain ways to go about it that I feel like everyone has their own contributed style to how they go about that. And also for trees, you know, there's so many different leaves and everything, so you really have to be careful like where the lighting hits. Just blopping out, even where you think there wouldn't be light on the leaves, there's probably gonna be light there. And of course, I felt like the tree just looked a little alone. Typically, if you're gonna paint like a flat color background or a background in general behind the center piece of your painting, you're going to want to paint the background first, or else you'll kind of remove the general shape of your painting, and leave some white spaces, so this was definitely a last minute decision, but I felt like it just needed it. And when it comes to sky backgrounds, you want to go dark to light, because by that mind-boggling concept of light, well, obviously it has to do with the sun, that's where the light comes from, but anyway, it's always going to be dark to light in skies for some reason. I also took what I guess you could consider a dry brush. It was like this old tattered brush that just was really scratchy, and I decided to use that for the clouds, because there's certain clouds you can create, like the fluffier clouds you'd use with like a sponge or something, but for like this particular cloud choice, I decided that I'd use like this older brush and just kind of make those streaky clouds. I'm just gonna use attributes to this time and not give them their names. But anyway, so I just kind of like, I used white, but I mean the blue sky hadn't dried yet, so it's not fully white, but I tried to go over it with actual white later on. But trust me when I say that for these kind of clouds, you don't want them full white, especially for that kind of background. It just took away from the tree, and it also wasn't entirely accurate. So now I'm just kind of highlighting those nice shadows and touching it up to where it has that darker depth to it. And I'm also like, I take a smaller brush, and instead of like patting the brush like I did with the tree texture, I actually just kind of graze the smaller, thinner brush for the grass, so it just kind of like go doop doop, where it's like just I'm brushing it across like really fast downward to create that grassy texture without having to individually paint the grass. And I'm also just kind of touching up certain areas and removing those little white sections that were around the tree, and kind of going back over everything and just really touching everything up. And you can see now I'm like wiping off that extra white, and I mean I still gave it some highlights there, like lighter at the top, but I ended up actually removing more white than I did blue. So ironic. And well, you know, there it was, the final piece. And this isn't, I mean, obviously with painting, you could paint forever, and I mean, you could still have more to add, but when you're just getting those like basic things, like quickly painting a tree and grass and little sky scenery like this, you know, you don't have to go over the top. With that being said, here's the finished product, and you can see all the little painterly details. I'd like to thank you all for watching. I hope you were able to pick up a little bit about painting trees in this. I hope to continue doing more tutorials like this. So thank you all for watching. Good luck in life and in art. Bye!